The slap echoed louder than it should have. Not because it was hard, not because the cafe went silent, but because the kids saw it. Emma froze mid-sip, chocolate milk trembling in her small hands, eyes wide like she just watched something break that couldn't be fixed. Across the table, her dad didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't even blink. The man who slapped him was still standing there, chest puffed out, jaw tight, already halfway into a smug smile like he just won something. Tall guy, expensive jacket, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no, or getting away with it every time. "You gonna say something, asshole?" the guy snapped, voice loud enough for the whole cafe. "Or you always let people walk all over you?" A couple people looked away. One barista pretended to rearrange cups. Someone coughed. Nobody stepped in. Yeah, that kind of room. The dad slowly turned his head back toward his daughter. His cheek was red now, not dramatic, just real. He reached out, steady as hell, and gently took the cup from her hands before it spilled. "You okay, Em?" he asked. His voice didn't shake. That was the thing. She nodded, but she didn't believe it herself. "Daddy," she whispered, barely there. He smiled at her, soft, familiar. The same smile she'd seen 1,000 times during scraped knees, bad dreams, and nights when the house felt too quiet without Mom. "It's all right," he said. "Just sit tight for a sec." The bully scoffed. "Wow, cute. Playing Dad of the Year now?" That smile faded. Not fast, just gone. Like someone turning off a light. The man finally looked up at the guy who hit him. Up close, the dad didn't look impressive. Mid-40s, worn jeans, cheap boots, hair starting to gray at the temples. Hands rough, knuckles scarred, but not in a flashy way. More like life had been chewing on them for years and never apologized. "Let's take a breath," the dad said calmly. "You bumped my daughter's chair. I asked you to watch it. That's it." The bully laughed. Actually laughed. "You touched me first." "Nope," the dad replied. "I moved the chair." "You calling me a liar?" "I'm saying it's not worth this. That should have been the end. But guys like this don't end things. They escalate them." The bully leaned in, breath heavy with coffee and entitlement. "You think you're better than me? You think because you got a kid you can tell me what to do?" The dad didn't answer. Because somewhere deep behind his eyes, something old stirred. Something that had been buried on purpose. Years ago, he'd learned how to read rooms like this. Learned how silence could be louder than shouting. Learned exactly how fast things could go bad. And how to end them. He stayed seated. For now. "Last chance," he said quietly. "Walk away." The bully smirked. "Big mistake." Before we continue the story, let me know in the comments how you liked it and where you're watching from. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe. And share a real incident from your own life that relates to this story. The comment with the most likes will be turned into the next story. The bully's smile didn't fade. It widened. "Or what?" he said, spreading his hands. "You gonna cry? Call security? Teach me a lesson with your dad voice?" A few people shifted in their seats. One guy near the window pulled out his phone, pretending to text while clearly recording. Yep, everyone loved a show as long as they weren't in it. The dad stood up slowly. Not in a dramatic way. No sudden movement, no chest puffing. Just a controlled rise. Like his body already knew the math of the situation and had finished calculating before his brain caught up. He was a little shorter than the bully, a little leaner, but when they stood face to face, something in the air changed. It wasn't aggression. It was pressure. The kind that made your ears feel weird before a storm. "I don't want trouble," the dad said. "Bullshit," the bully shot back. "Guys like you always do." "Guys like me?" the dad asked. "Yeah. Quiet, judgy, acting all high and mighty." The dad tilted his head slightly, studying him now. Not angry. Curious. Like he was trying to figure out which wire was loose. Behind him, Emma slid off the chair. She clutched her stuffed rabbit to her chest, knuckles white. "Daddy?" she whispered again. "That did it." The dad raised one hand, palm open, without looking back. "Em, sweetheart. Go stand by the counter." She hesitated. "Please." She nodded and walked away, eyes never leaving him. The bully noticed the movement and laughed again. Aw, sending the kid away so you don't embarrass yourself? The dad's jaw tightened for half a second, then relaxed. You slapped me, he said, in front of my daughter. So? The bully shrugged. You deserved it. Silence hung between them. Then the dad took one small step forward. The bully didn't back up, didn't even blink. He leaned in, chest bumping the dad's shoulder. What you gonna do, huh? The answer came fast. The dad's hand moved. Not a punch, not a shove. He grabbed the bully's wrist. Just grabbed it. Firm, precise. The bully laughed again. That all you got? Then his laughter turned into a sharp inhale, because the grip tightened, not crushing, not flashy, just enough, just the right angle. The kind of hold that sends a message straight to the nervous system. The bully's smile twitched. His fingers flexed involuntarily. Hey, he muttered. Let go. The dad leaned in, voice low, calm, almost friendly. I asked you to walk away. The bully tried to pull free. Didn't work. People noticed now. Chairs scraped. The barista froze mid-motion. Someone whispered, oh shit. The bully's face flushed. You think you're tough? He hissed. You think this scares me? No, the dad said. I think you don't know when you're in danger. That's when the bully swung. It was sloppy, all ego, big looping right hand aimed at the head. The dad moved, not fast, efficient. He stepped inside the punch, twisted the wrist he already had, and redirected the swing past his shoulder. The bully stumbled forward, off balance, crashing into a table. Cups went flying. Coffee splashed everywhere. Gasps filled the room. The dad still hadn't hit him. He released the wrist and stepped back. Stop, he said. Right now. The bully turned, rage exploding across his face, and charged. The bully came in swinging like a pissed-off freight train. No plan, no control. Just raw anger and embarrassment fueling every step. He wanted blood now, wanted to erase the moment where the room had seen him stumble. The dad didn't step back. He exhaled, and everything changed. The first punch never landed. The dad slipped to the side, minimal movement, like he'd done this exact thing 1,000 times before. His elbow came up, sharp and tight, catching the bully in the ribs. Not hard, not yet. Just enough to take the wind out of him. The bully grunted, surprised more than hurt. The second punch was slower, sloppier. Fear was creeping in now, even if the guy didn't know it yet. The dad caught the arm mid-swing, twisted, and dropped his weight. The bully yelped as his shoulder locked up, his body forced down toward the floor. A knee hit the ground. Someone shouted, Hey, that's enough. Security was probably on the way. The dad knew that. He always knew where the exits were, how long it took for help to show up, how fast a situation could spiral if you didn't end it clean. Tap out, the dad said quietly. What? The bully snapped, sweating now, breath ragged. Say you're done. Go to hell. The dad sighed. He shifted his grip, just slightly. The sound that came out of the bully's mouth wasn't a scream. It was worse, a sharp, involuntary noise that made everyone in the cafe flinch. Okay, the bully yelled. Stop. Damn it. The dad released him immediately. The bully collapsed onto his side, clutching his arm like it no longer belonged to him. He gasped, eyes wild, scanning the room like he couldn't believe what had just happened. The dad stepped back again, hands open, non-threatening. I warned you, he said. The cafe was dead silent now. Every phone was out, every eye locked on him. People weren't scared of the fight anymore. They were scared of how controlled it had been. The dad turned toward the counter. Emma stood there, frozen, rabbit tucked under her chin, tears streaking down her cheeks. The dad walked to her slowly, kneeling in front of her. Hey, he said softly. Look at me. She did. You hurt? He asked. She shook her head. Good. He brushed her hair back gently. I'm sorry you saw that. She sniffed. You didn't even look mad. That almost made him laugh. Almost. Yeah, he said. I was. Behind them, the bully struggled to his feet with help from another customer. His jacket was soaked. His pride was worse. Security rushed in, voices raised, trying to piece together what happened from 10 people talking at once. The bully pointed with his good arm. "That guy attacked me." The dad stood up and turned calmly. "Nope, you slapped me. There are about 15 witnesses and at least 6 cameras." The bully opened his mouth, closed it, because now he was seeing it, really seeing him, the posture, the stillness, the eyes. "Who the hell are you?" the bully muttered. The dad didn't answer right away. He picked up his jacket, checked his wallet, then took Emma's hand. "Just a dad," he said, but as they walked past, the bully noticed something on the dad's forearm, a faded tattoo, half hidden, old and worn. A dagger, wings, a skull. The bully's blood ran cold, because he'd seen that symbol before, and it never ended well. The symbol hit the bully like a punch to the gut, not because he knew exactly what it meant, but because some instincts don't need explaining. Somewhere in the back of his brain, a survival alarm started screaming that he'd crossed a line you don't uncross. "Hey, wait," the bully said, voice suddenly smaller. The dad didn't stop. Security stepped in properly now, 2 guards trying to look authoritative while clearly unsure who they should be worried about. One of them glanced at the overturned table, the spilled drinks, then at the bully's arm hanging wrong. "Sir, we need statements," the guard said. The dad nodded, calm, cooperative. "Of course." Emma squeezed his hand harder. "It's okay," he whispered to her. "Almost done." They separated the 2 men. The bully talked fast, too fast, words tripping over each other as he tried to paint himself as the victim. The guards listened, nodding, but their eyes kept drifting back to the dad, because he wasn't acting like someone who'd just been in a fight. No shaking, no pacing, no excuses, just waiting. When it was his turn, he explained exactly what happened. No embellishment, no emotion, just facts. Chair bumped, kid scared, slap, warning, defense. Phones came out again when one guard quietly replayed a security clip on a tablet. The slap was clear, so was everything after. The bully's face drained of color. "Sir," the guard said to him, "we're gonna need you to wait outside. Police are on the way." "What?" the bully snapped. "He did this to me." "You initiated physical contact," the guard replied, and escalated. The bully turned to the dad, eyes burning. "You think this is over?" The dad finally looked at him again, really looked. "No," he said, "I think it's done." That was it, no threat, no warning. Somehow worse. Outside, sirens grew louder. Emma tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, are we in trouble?" He crouched down to her level again. "Nope, we're okay. Promise?" He smiled. "Promise." The cops came in fast. One look at the footage and the witnesses and the tone shifted. The bully was cuffed, still yelling, still trying to reclaim some shred of dignity. As they let him past the dad, the bully hissed, "You think you're some kind of hero?" The dad didn't answer. Because heroes crave recognition. He spent years avoiding it. They were allowed to leave. No charges, self-defense, clear as day. Outside, the air felt colder, quieter, like the world had reset itself. Emma climbed into the passenger seat of the old truck, buckling herself in carefully. The dad stood there for a moment, hands on the door, staring at nothing. The adrenaline was finally fading. That's when it always hit. The memories, dust, heat, the sound of rotors overhead. Orders whispered through headsets, faces he'd promised to get home to that never did. He shook it off and got in. As he drove away, he didn't notice the man across the street watching them, mid-30s, hoodie, phone held low. He snapped a photo of the truck, zoomed in on the license plate, then sent it. "You won't believe who I just saw." The message bounced through 3 phones in under a minute. At first nobody replied. Then came one word, confirmed. The man in the hoodie stared at the screen longer than he should have. He'd known the face looked familiar. The posture. The way the guy moved like the world was a threat assessment even while holding a kid's hand. Some habits don't die. He slipped the phone into his pocket and walked away. No rush, no drama, Just another guy disappearing into foot traffic. But the gears were already turning now. Quiet ones, dangerous ones. Across town, the dad pulled into the daycare parking lot. Emma hopped out, mood already lifting like kids do. The moment passed and replaced with stickers and snack time. "Love you," she said, leaning in for a hug. "Love you more," he replied. She smiled, then ran inside. The truck felt too quiet again. He sat there for a moment longer than necessary, fingers resting on the steering wheel. His cheek still stung, not physically, emotionally. He hated that she'd seen it, hated even more that the old part of him had woken up so easily. He drove home, small house, quiet street, nothing special, on purpose. He cooked dinner, helped with homework, read a bedtime story using stupid voices that made Emma laugh so hard she snorted. Normal stuff. That was the job now. After she fell asleep, he stood in the hallway listening to her breathe. That was when the knock came. Not loud, not polite, intentional. His body reacted before his mind did. He was at the door, lights still off, weight shifted, listening. Another knock. Firmer. "Door," a voice called. Male, calm, familiar in a way he didn't like. He opened it halfway. The man on the porch looked older, beard trimmed short, eyes sharp as ever, no weapon visible, no backup in sight. "Thought I might find you here," the man said. The dad exhaled slowly. "You're a long way from home, Mason." Mason smiled. "You always were good with names. You weren't supposed to come," the dad said. "Yeah," Mason replied. "Neither were you." Silence stretched between them. "Someone recognized you today," Mason continued. "Café incidents already floating around. Video too." The dad closed his eyes briefly. "Damn it. I tried to bury it," Mason said. "But once the internet smells blood, why are you really here?" the dad asked. Mason leaned against the porch railing. "Because when ghosts resurface, people come looking. Old enemies, old favors." "I'm done," the dad said flatly. "I walked away." Mason's smile faded. "You walked away. They didn't." A car passed at the end of the street. Headlights swept over them, then gone. "You've got a kid now," Mason said quietly. "That makes things complicated." The dad's jaw tightened. "That's exactly why I stayed quiet," he said. "Why I stayed gone." Mason nodded. "I know. That's why I'm giving you a heads up instead of a warrant." "Warrant?" the dad snapped. "Not from us." That landed. Mason pushed off the railing. "Lay low. Don't react. If someone reaches out, call me first. And if they don't ask," the dad said. Mason met his eyes. "Then you already know what to do." He walked down the steps and disappeared into the night. The dad shut the door, locking it carefully. Then he went to the bedroom, opened the closet, and pulled down a box he'd promised himself he'd never open again. The box was heavier than he remembered. Not physically, mentally. It scraped softly against the closet floor as he pulled it out, like it was reminding him it still existed. He sat on the edge of the bed, stared at it for a long second, then flipped the latch. Inside was a life he'd buried. No guns. That wasn't his style anymore. Just things that told a story. A folded flag, old dog tags, a cracked GPS unit, a burner phone wrapped in duct tape, and at the bottom a thin folder with names he'd memorized once and tried to forget. Delta Force didn't give you glory, it gave you ghosts. He ran a hand over his face. "Damn it," he muttered. The cafe, the slap. The way his body had moved without permission. He'd been careful for years. Small town, no social media, no photos, no past. Just a single dad with a quiet job and a kid who liked pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. One moment of restraint breaking, and the world noticed. The burner phone vibrated in his hand when he powered it on. Battery still alive. Of course it was. That thing could survive a nuclear winter. One missed call, unknown number. He didn't call back. Yet. Instead, he walked the house, checked doors, windows, backyard fence. Same routine, he told himself, was just being cautious, even though he knew better. Emma's room last. He watched her sleep for a moment, chest rising and falling, stuffed rabbit flopped sideways like it had given up on life. "This is why," he whispered. Back in the kitchen, he poured a glass of water and stared at his reflection in the dark window. He looked like a regular guy. That was the problem. People underestimated regular guys. The phone buzzed again. Text this time. "You should have stayed dead." No name, no context, didn't need one. He deleted it and powered the phone off. The next day, he didn't change his routine. That was rule 1. Panic gets you noticed. He took Emma to school, went to work, smiled when people talked about the crazy cafe fight like it was some viral entertainment. Inside, he was mapping timelines. Who recognized him? Who had access? Who benefited? By noon, he had 3 possibilities. None of them were good. When he picked Emma up that afternoon, she seemed quieter than usual. "Everything okay?" he asked as they drove. She nodded, then hesitated. "That man, yesterday, is he bad?" He chose his words carefully. He made bad choices. "Are you going to get hurt?" The question hit harder than any punch. "No," he said firmly. "I won't let that happen." She studied his face like she was trying to decide if adults were still trustworthy. Then she leaned back and stared out the window. That night the power went out, just their house. The dad was already moving before the lights fully died. He scooped Emma up, carried her into the bathroom, and shut the door quietly. No panic, no rushing, just controlled speed. "Stay here," he whispered. "No matter what." She nodded, eyes wide, brave as hell. He stepped back into the hallway. The front door lock clicked. From the outside, someone knew, and they weren't knocking this time. The click of the lock was soft, professional. The dad didn't move right away. He listened, counted breaths, let the moment stretch. Whoever was outside wanted him to rush, wanted fear. That was always the play. Nope. He slid his foot back slowly, easing his weight off the creaky floorboard he'd fixed 3 years ago and never fully trusted. His hand brushed the edge of the kitchen counter, fingers closing around the one thing he'd allowed himself to keep close all these years. Not a gun, a short steel flashlight. Heavy, solid, legal, effective. The door handle turned, slow. The door opened just enough to slip something thin through. A blade, camera, wire. The dad stepped forward and slammed his weight into the door before it could open wider. Wood cracked. Whoever was on the other side grunted, caught off balance. The dad didn't hesitate. He ripped the door open and drove the flashlight straight into the guy's throat. Not crushing, not lethal, just enough. The intruder staggered back, choking, dropping to one knee. Black clothes, gloves, mask. Not local muscle. This was trained. A second shape moved behind him. The dad grabbed the first guy's collar and yanked him sideways just as the second attacker lunged. The blade meant for his ribs sank into his partner's shoulder instead. The scream was real. Panicked. "Idiot!" the second man hissed. The dad didn't wait. He slammed the door shut again, locking it, then dragged the injured attacker inside with him, one threat at a time. The man struggled, but pain made him sloppy. The dad swept his legs, dropped him hard, and pinned him with a knee to the spine. "Who sent you?" he demanded. The man laughed through clenched teeth. Too late. That's when the dad heard it. Footsteps. Outside. More than one. A car door slammed. Another. Quiet voices. Organized. He swore under his breath. He zip-tied the guy's wrists using a strip he kept taped under the sink. Yeah. He'd planned for this, even if he hated himself for it. He dragged the man into the pantry and shut the door. Then he moved, fast now. He grabbed Emma from the bathroom, wrapped her in a blanket, and took her out the back door into the cold night. The fence creaked as he boosted her over, then followed. The house lights flickered back on behind them. Too convenient. They ran, down the street, across a neighbor's yard, into the alley where he'd parked the truck facing out for exactly this reason. Gunshots cracked behind them, not aimed at him. At the house, a message. He threw Emma into the passenger seat, buckled her in with shaking hands, and started the engine. Tires screeched as they peeled away. Emma was crying now. Silent tears, shock. "I'm sorry," he said, voice tight. "I'm so sorry." His phone buzzed in the cup holder. Unknown number. He answered without looking. "They found you," Mason said. "You need to disappear. Tonight." "They came to my house," the dad snapped. "My kid was there." "I know," Mason replied. "That's why this isn't optional anymore." The dad glanced at Emma, then at the road ahead. "Where?" he asked. Mason didn't hesitate. "You're going back to where it all started." The dad swallowed. "No," he said. "Yes," Mason replied. "Because the only place they won't follow you is where they're afraid to go," the dad finished. He hung up and turned the truck toward the desert. The desert didn't care who you used to be. That's why he liked it. Miles of nothing. No streetlights, no cameras. Just cracked earth, cold air, and memories that never really left. He drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting near Emma, like proximity alone could shield her. She'd stopped crying. Shock had turned her quiet. "Where are we going?" She asked softly. "Someplace safe," he said. "For a little while." She nodded, didn't ask more. Kids know when answers won't help. They reached the old place just before dawn, a half-buried structure that looked abandoned to anyone who didn't know better. No signs, no lights, just rock and rust and silence. He keyed in a code he hadn't touched in years. The door opened. Inside, the air smelled like metal and dust. Emergency lights hummed to life. Emma stared around, eyes wide. "This is like a bunker," she whispered. "Yeah," he said. "Something like that." He settled her in a side room. Blanket, water, snacks, a tablet he'd kept charged for emergencies. He knelt in front of her. "Listen to me," he said gently. "No matter what you hear, you stay here, okay?" She grabbed his shirt. "Are you gonna fight?" He paused. "Only if I have to." She hugged him hard. The kind of hug that digs into you, the kind you don't forget. "I love you," she said. That nearly broke him. "I love you too," he replied. More than anything. Outside, engines approached. 3 vehicles. He'd expected at least that. He stepped out into the open, hands visible, posture relaxed. Let them see him. Let them feel it. They fanned out. Professionals, weapons ready, faces hidden. One man stepped forward. Taller, confident. "You should have stayed gone," the man said. "You should have stayed away from my kid," he replied. A beat. Then everything went loud. He moved like muscle memory given purpose, took one down before the others adjusted, used terrain, used darkness, used fear, not flashy, not angry, precise, ending threats as fast as they appeared. Minutes later, the desert was quiet again. 2 men fled. One didn't move. One groaned, wounded and reconsidering his life choices. The dad stood there, breathing hard, scanning until his heart rate slowed. Then Mason's truck rolled in. He got out, eyes taking everything in. "Jesus, they won't try again," the dad said. "Not like this." Mason nodded. "I'll make sure of it." They stood there as the sun crested the horizon. "What now?" Mason asked. The dad looked back at the bunker, at his daughter. "Now I finish raising her," he said, "and I stay boring." Mason smiled faintly. "World's lucky." The dad didn't agree. He just went back inside, shut the door, and locked the past where it belonged. For good.